living by the highest priority possible. When you do, you'll end up producing the most if it's a productive thing. You'll have the most meaning if it is. You won't be overwhelmed trying to do it all yourself. Because if you end up trying to do low priority stuff, you'll devalue yourself. You got to fill your day with high priority actions that inspire you, or your day is going to fill up with low priority distractions. It's going to overwhelm you. You got to be able to say no to things that really aren't priority. You got to know the difference between a checklist and a priority list. You can have lots of stuff to be done, but not of them are all priority. And you want to make sure you're filling in the day with real priority stuff. And myself, I delegate everything except research, write, travel, teach. And those things I do, the rest of it I delegate to specialists, and they would love to do that. So don't try to do it all. Prioritize it, let it go. Say no to it if it's not priority at this moment. Schedule another time for it when it may be more priority, and see if you can't get a team of people around you to help you with the things that aren't really important. You can't have everything priority. Priority means first. So you want to get to what is the first thing. And as long as you're staying on the highest priority things and sticking to that, and then when that's complete, go on the second highest priority thing, you're getting the most any human being can do with their time. And that's the best advice I can give you. I used to have patients or clients with narcolepsy. I saw quite a few of those. And there was no doubt in my mind that narcolepsy, even though it has an autoimmune response to certain chemistries in the brain, it's attacking certain nerve fibers and certain chemistries actually in the brain. It's like an allergic reaction. Emotions are definitely a factor. I've had many narcolepts that as long as you talk to them about certain things, they stay awake. The second you start talking to them about other things, they go out. And I did an experiment one time for fun in one of my longer programs, the Imperience program, where when we talked on mathematics and physics and astronomy and things that were more science-based, man, they were engaged and they were wide awake and they didn't fall asleep at all. The second we went on to religion or metaphysical things, they'd go out. And I could literally turn them on and turn them off, wake them up and put them to sleep. And we had some fun in the class watching them go out and come back on. So things in our reticular activating system in our brain, which is in the primarily in the midbrain and brainstem area, if we do things that help us fulfill our highest values, reticular activating system wakes us up. And if we do things that go on lower values or interferes with that, it can shut down. It's a protective mechanism. So there's no doubt that there's a factor of psychology in narcolepsy, in my opinion, watching the cases I've seen. And sometimes it's not easy to figure out what that is, and sometimes you don't seem to nail it, but once you do, you can put them on, turn them on and turn them off pretty easily. So there's a factor there. I don't want to say it's only that, because there's autoimmune components, and some of that is a self-depreciation for false expectations on ourselves to live in somebody else's values, and we're attacking ourselves, beating ourselves up because we're not matching the expectations we made, and or not living up to other people's expectations being imposed on us. So those are all things that play a role in the narcolepsy that I've seen. But without a doubt, we can turn on and turn off some of those responses of falling asleep or waking up. My highest value when my children were younger, I didn't relate to them as much as I did later. We joke today that now I'm getting an ROI on my investment now that they're older, and I didn't get it then, but that's partly value drive. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that I love my children. There's no question about that. But I did not do a traditional 9-to-5 job, you know, go home, eat dinner, fall asleep, watching a TV show, and that kind of, I did not have any desire whatsoever in that. I realized that something that Albert Einstein said, exemplification is the greatest teacher. And I figured that even though I didn't see my children every day, that me exemplifying an inspired life would be part of the education process. And then we would communicate at times by phone or later by Skype and other emails and things. So I can't say that I did what society calls a balanced scenario, because I traveled a lot. Now that they're more mature, and I spend way more time with them now than I did when they were really young. And I'm sure there's pains and pleasures of that. If you asked my kids, and they've been asked before on even live shows. Last week we had a show with all my children were on the show, and they were being asked those kind of questions. They'll tell you there was pains and pleasures, things they liked and disliked, just about anything a parent does, the kids are going to like and dislike parts of it. And so I'm sure that they felt that there were times when I wasn't there when they wanted me, and times when I was there when they didn't want me. And I'm sure that's part of the equation. But I was on a mission. I'm a man on a mission, and I've been doing that mission. And I had a feeling of confidence that if I fulfilled that and exemplified that, that would rub off. And all three of my beautiful children today are mission-oriented themselves. My daughter is helping me. My oldest daughter, Elena, is helping me in the business and helping me in the seminar world and is consulting and teaching like myself. My middle daughter, Brescia, is in fashion, and she's doing some amazing stuff. She's doing a project with Mark Wahlberg right now, the actor, and also Versace. And she's also helps me in the office and some part-time to help us in sales and communications. And then my son is also working in the office and doing administrative work and other things. But he has his own business, and he's got his own following. About 15,000 people follow him on a YouTube video. So he's a YouTube personality developing in the video game world. So they all found their mission. They all do things. I love being with them. I don't know if they would be able to tolerate me if I was around them too much. Times when I love being with my kids, on times when I don't, and times when they probably want to be with me, and times when they don't. But I juggled it the best I did based on what it is, and know that nothing's missing. If you know in the breakthrough experience, I teach you about nothing's missing. If I was not there, I would ask who's playing my role, and I would look at who's playing my children's role and watch the transformation. I say the master lives in a world of transformation, not the illusions of gain and loss. And we get attached and infatuated with ideal forms that are the way it's supposed to be. We really run into our judgments of ourselves and other people. So I don't live in that world. I'm clear about what I would love to do and what I'm here to do, and I don't waver from it. And my children, I'm sure, will have things to say positive and negative about that, but that's just the way it is. And I just know that inside I love my kids. An 18-hour day is a typical day for me. I work part-time if I only worked 8 hours a day. I can't imagine only working 8 hours a day. That'd drive me nuts. But I eat what I don't fill my life with junk. I eat foods that energize me. In the morning, I usually have some yogurt and some fresh fruit and some multigrains, or some sort of multigrain cereal, multigrain bread or something. And I know that some people say, oh, you eating bread. I eat a lot of bread. I don't have any problem with bread. Some people have problems, or maybe that's my problem. Maybe I got all kind of behaviors that are coming from that. I don't know. People tell me I can't eat that much, but I do it. And then at lunch, I just had a bowl of my Demartini soup. Here in South Africa, there's a soup here at the hotel. They call it Demartini soup. People are now ordering it. And it's, rice and vegetables and a chicken stock with chicken in it. And I have that and some multigrain bread. And last night I had salmon and some vegetables and some bit of bread. And I eat simple. I don't eat anything that's not going to fuel my body. I eat rhythmically and consistently. I drink water. I don't drink, teas and coffees and junk and stuff like that. Although my girlfriend Trish introduced me to a lovely tea called Rooibos tea from South Africa. And so she introduced me to that, and I've had that occasionally when I'm with her. I have that sometimes. But I don't live to eat. I eat to live. And I am inspired by what I do, and I really believe that that's an energizer. I keep a very busy schedule. My day consists of, filling my day with priorities. So if you look at my day, there's a day. So I got interview. I have 9 interviews that day. Today I've got a bunch of them. And I fill my day with what inspires me. I don't fill my day with things that aren't. I delegate anything else. If you delegate lower priority things and you stick to high priority things and you fill your day with what inspires you to fulfill the mission, I found that your energy levels are great. I don't eat sweets. I don't eat sugar. I even had sugar given to me on a flight coming here from Doha the other day, and I asked them to take the oatmeal and take out the sugar and start over with it. And they did it because I don't waste my time on eating sweets. It gums up the brain and it makes volatilities. I don't eat anything that causes volatility. So I don't eat sweets of any form, except fruit, fresh fruit, that's it. So I eat wisely, I think, and I'm doing pretty good. I'm 65 and still cranking. getting ready to go surf the North Shore here in a couple of weeks, and go surfing on my birthday. And I don't know, I just love what I do, and that makes a difference. I think that does have an impact on your life. And if you prioritize your life, you delegate the rest, you stick to priority, doing what you love to do, and you eat wisely and drink a lot of water, you do quite well. We have what is called the executive center in the forebrain and the amygdala, which is a subcortical structure. And the subcortical amygdala is the desire center. And that system looks for sugar and looks for stimulants and looks for drugs, you know, so anything that gives you a high, a stimulant. Because when you're not engaged in high value activities, that area of the brain comes online. And so that's the craving center. So I don't have any craving for that stuff. I have no craving whatsoever for sweets. Don't even think about it. It's like, doesn't do me any inspiration at all. I love a carrot. I love vegetables. I love food. I don't have any craving for that kind of stuff. So I don't even think about it. But if you're not doing something you love to do, think about this. When you're really inspired about something, you can't wait to get up and do it. You don't want to screw up your day by distracting yourself on immediate gratifying consumables and sweets and stuff. I don't perform at my peak there. So why would I waste my time on stuff that doesn't allow me to peak performance out of a day? It doesn't make any sense. So the executive center is designed with glutamate and GABA to inhibit and mitigate those cravings and those distractions of avoid predator and seek prey. The prey is what gives you the stimulant need and the sugar need. And that's one of the most addicting compounds in the world. And you're not addicted. I always say addictive behavior is a compensation for unfulfilled highest values. If you fill your day with extremely high valuable things that you can't wait to get up in the morning and do, you don't want to waste your time on something that lowers your vitality and it lowers your performance. So I just don't have that. I don't think about it. I don't have this craving for sweets and junk. I do have 2 grapes. When I'm on my ship, they know me and they know that at the end of my meal, they'll hand me 2 grapes. And that's my quote dessert. And I use that to kind of rinse my mouth and to end the thing and change the palate, and that's it. And I'll drink water. So people say, well, you're very disciplined. I go, I don't even think about it. It's just the way I live my life. I've structured my life by priority. I've studied nutrition. I lectured on nutrition for many years. I know every nutrient just about that was known at the time anyway, on what foods have what nutrients and what they're made out of. And I've selected wisely for maximum performance. I don't waste my time on anything that doesn't give me that. So I don't have any desires to get away from that. I love what I eat, and I love what I do in a day. You know, I was asked by a very significant rabbi up in the northeast of the United States in Toronto one time. And he came to me and says, Dr. Demartini, if somebody does your Demartini method, what's going to stop them from going out and raping, pillaging, killing, murdering, beating people and stuff like that? And I said, you know, that's a ridiculous question, because I have never seen anybody at the breakthrough experience. I've been teaching it for 30 plus years now. And I've not seen one person finish the Demartini method and have a desire to go rape, kill, murder, steal, not one. I've never seen it. So it's an irrational assumption that means it gives permission to do it. When you're living by your highest values, you have a desire to make a contribution and live philanthropically. When you live by your lower values and you're unfulfilled, you have debauchery and you want immediate gratification. You want something for nothing. And when people don't get it, you get irate and frustrated. I've never seen those behaviors come out of a person living by their highest values. I've seen that behavior coming out of people that are unfulfilled and they're angry and having all skewed expectations on others of themselves and having these animal behaviors. So it's not that when I tell somebody that an event is neutral and it is neither good nor evil, I'm stating that because history has proven that to be true. And that's a vast amount of research. I have 400 books that I put in my head on morals and ethics. And I assure you that there's never been a universal morality that's been discovered on the planet, although people have arbitrarily selected some. And whatever's been in society, if it was not serving, it would have gone extinct. And it's still there. And so I'm more interested in what is actually initiating those behaviors and what's driving it. And it's not because they've done the Demartini method or because they've studied Dr. Demartini's work that makes them do it. I've yet to see anybody go and finish my method and do it. Maybe intellectualizing, they might want to do something like that, but I've not seen somebody finish it and immediately want to do those activities. So those activities are byproducts of not being fulfilled. and living in a skewed, unrealistic expectation on yourself and other people, and an aggrandized or minimized positioning, which is the opposite of my teachings. So no, but you see that nobody really knows the repercussion of any behavior. So if you do behavior, you can narrow down a very narrow mind over a certain content and context over a certain period of time, and you can label it good or bad. But nobody really knows the ripple effect. Nobody really knows all the ripple effects of 9/11. They just discovered just a few weeks ago that many of the people that were in 9/11 that were the rescuers, the heroes going in, have now lung disease because they were in bed with all the dust and toxic fumes and things. So that's predictable. But those are the heroes having those repercussions, the people going in and rescuing people. So nobody really knows all the repercussions, because if we look very carefully in my book, The Gratitude Effect, there, you look carefully, you go that when somebody does something, we don't know the repercussions of all the people that it impacts. I really don't know. When I do this webinar right now, I have no idea. No one can tell all the people that might be affected by that and the positive and negative repercussions from that and what people will say about it. And they'll react to it. And people that have similar values will think, oh, he's very disciplined and dedicated. Another person that has dissimilar values will say he's pig-headed and stubborn and, rigid. And I get labeled all those things. And those are arbitrary labels that people have projected to label things good and bad. But ultimately, probabilistically, it's a balance. So I don't try to impose it, because it's been shown very easily in 100,000 people that I've personally taken through the method on, to show that the things you think are terrible have upsides and the things you think are terrific have downsides. So if you choose to make them good or bad, that's your choice. And I'm not saying you don't have the option to do that. You do. But I've never seen that to be a fact. I've just seen that to be a belief system that you've chosen based on your perceptions, and you choose to follow and run your life by it. But I would rather go in and find out what and why people do what they do, find both sides of it, help them understand why they do it, and help them liberate through it. So when something happens, when people come to me with a different issue, I'd rather go find out both sides of it, because when they do, they're set free. Because anything you infatuate with occupies space and time in your mind and runs you. Anything you resent occupies space and time in your mind and runs you. The only thing that doesn't run you is when you have a balanced mind and you're liberated. So why allow yourself to be trapped in those judgments when they're not necessary? It's just a matter of the questions you ask. If you ask questions to make you conscious of the unconscious and balance out it, make you fully conscious, you're going to feel that there's nothing but love there. To me, it seems pointless to sit there and hold on to illusions when you can get to the point of seeing love and be grateful for life and move through it and take whatever happens and turn it on the way instead of in the way. It seems irrational to sit there and get bogged down in a judgment and protect yourself from illusions that you have and not honor what the experiences are and move through. I found an encyclopedia of religions, and it was a book about 800 pages. It was pretty fine print. It was like an encyclopedia. It looked like an encyclopedia. And it had literally from A to Z, the religions of the world, and anything from 50,000 people and up. In fact, I found my friend Deepak Chopra was in there. I thought that was interesting that he'd reached that point. I would be probably classified, because I got way more than 50,000 people following me. Today, I'd probably be considered some sort of an organization like that without even intending to be. But 50,000 people, followers or more, they might have a paragraph on them. But then the bigger religions, they may have 30 pages on that religion and the evolution in that religion. So people that have like Islam and Christianity, has a pretty good following, has 2 billion people following it. So they have obviously more in the encyclopedia. But I went through each of those different religions and looked at who was the founder, the best we could identify, when was it founded. Some they didn't know, some they knew. What initiated it, what was them thinking at the time, what was going on in the culture at the time, who is it in response to, who is it, because many religious branches are byproducts of belief systems that didn't match the ones previous. I mean, the Arabians were there, and Muhammad came in and didn't like some of the things that the Arabians were doing, their rituals and their behaviors. So he then got to start his own. He went to Medina and he started it. So, I think that that encyclopedia is probably findable if you look, but it's on Encyclopedia of Religions. And I just started there. And then I went to different religions, and I got Picard's pictorial on about 40, 50 religions. And then I came and started going on Google and started reading religions later on when that came along. and I read books and other encyclopedias on them. And then I actually went down to the rituals. So I went to, you know, I'd say probably 50 religions. I actually went and spent time in their rituals to try to understand what they were doing. And, but then around age 30, that was really big, from 18 to around 30. And around the 30 mark, when I did the positive thinking thing, experiment, you know, I started realizing that was pointless. I started questioning religion, and then I started meeting religious leaders from 27 to around 30s. I started meeting religious leaders and finding out they're just human beings. And we've made, you know, these people into saints and stuff like that. And I think that's misleading people. They're human beings. They're knowledgeable about that particular faith or belief system or school of thought, and they're worth respecting, but not putting on pedestals. I have no interest in mythological, soteriological salvations and constructs like that, because I think that's a dissociation from your own accountability to own the hero and villain inside yourself and quit blaming devils and looking for saviors. To me, it's all inside. And I'd rather empower people that way. So after studying all those religions, I transcended them, in my opinion. I enjoy chatting with people who are scholars and that. I got one coming up next week. I'm meeting with a Islamic scholar who's very bright, very knowledgeable. I've seen some of his YouTube videos, very bright guy. And I love chatting with them, but I wouldn't put them on pedestals or put them in pits. They're human beings. We're all learning, and we can all learn from each other, but I wouldn't be let the boogeyman of a particular religion or faith interfere with the mission that I feel in my heart. He already knows what he wants to do, which is fantastic. I would honor that. I wouldn't force him to do something that's not inspiring to him. I would make the links. If you have difficulty making the links, send them my way. Let me show you how to make the links. Come in and bring him there. Let me sit in front of you and show you how to make the links between whatever the classes you think he needs and the things that he's interested in. Because he may have a very concentrated values system, and as a result of that, may really want to love and learn certain things, and that don't negate that. Terence Tao, which is one of the great things, great mathematicians, the leading mathematician right now, another one, same thing. He found a very concentrated value system and targeted. And the parents were freaking out, going, he's got to go and get his schooling, he's got to do this. And the classes were labeling him ADHD and labeling all this stuff. You know, back off. Find out what is inspiring to him. Link those things that are important to him. If you can't get the links done yourself, find somebody who can, or call me. I will show you how to do the links. I'm going to charge you for the time, and I'll have you come there with him so you know what to do next time, and we'll videotape it so he gets the links, and you show him how to do the links. I've yet to see anything. I haven't seen anything that can't be linked to somebody's values. So it's a matter of just making the links. And once they make the links, they can excel in that class. But don't underestimate. I'm a firm believer that if they allow them to go and do what's spontaneously inspired to do, they're going to excel. I just met with a gentleman who's the head of the Board of Education in Houston, and he's now starting his own school. He got tired of the drone training programs that the schools were given. And he said, no, we're going to take kids and we're going to wake up their genius. And he's now using my work. He's studying it and applying it. And he's going to start a whole new system and do homeschooling training system for people that want to do things and not fall into the drone training system that the education offers. And but you got to give them permission to be themselves and not try to force them into conforming to basics. And I think that there's a book in, I think it's in Search of Greatness or something like that, a video, the trailer, if you can get the trailer on it, it's 20 great sports individuals that were trained differently than the average and why they excelled. They were the leading hockey players, leading basketball players, leading football players. What did they do different to become the greatest at what they did? And you'll see a pattern, and it's worth watching that video on that because it's a documentary, and it's exactly in line with what I've been trying to tell people for years now. And it's cool. Wayne Gretzky and the greatest receiver in football, they all had a different format. And what they did is they concentrated on what they were expert at and became the greatest at it. You're not going to be the greatest at it fitting in to be the average. You're going to be the greatest at it by finding what it is that you're inspired to do spontaneously and excel at it. And then link everything around to it. So if you've had difficulty making the links, get some help. I'll help you, or one of my facilitators can help you. If not, don't give up on it. but don't force them to do something that's not inspiring to them, or you're going to label them ADHD and ADD, because those are when they're not inspired. They're forcing to do something they don't want to do. And giving them the Ritalin or whatever, if you want to take the side effects of that, that's like giving them cocaine almost. You want to do that in order to reciprocate their brain just to get them to calm down. That's fine, but you'll pay a price for that. I'd rather find out what their highest value is and get them geared towards that and let them excel at what they love doing.